Live from coast to coast, America's morning news is on the air. All the breaking news you need is right here. And now, the host of America's Morning News, Matt Ray.
Good Tuesday morning, 6 minutes past the hour. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 13th day of September. Here's what we're following today.
I'm feeling so much better, and obviously I should have gotten some rest sooner.
I think he's going to be providing the latest information on his health.
Clinton and Trump say they'll release more detailed medical records.
North Korea once again has demonstrated blatant and reckless disregard for its commitments and international obligations.
The U.S. sends a clear message to North Korea.
I was encouraged by some of the constructive work that's being done right now. Number one, to make sure that the government stays open.
But did they agree on a Zika funding bill? We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start with 5 things to know on this Tuesday morning. Conflicting reports in the Middle East. Israel denies Syrian government's claims that its forces shot down a warplane and drone near the Israeli-controlled part of the Golan Heights. That reports come as opposition and monitoring groups say the U.S.-Russia brokered ceasefire appears to be holding one day in. Israeli warplanes have conducted several air raids on Syrian army positions over the past weeks after stray shells hit the Israeli-occupied area. House Republicans continue their pursuit of Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton over her emails. The tech expert who set up the private server and representatives from the company that maintained it will testify today before the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. The expert previously told the FBI there were no successful breaches. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, she may be taking a sick day, but she has a stand-in to carry her fight on the campaign trail in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. President Obama will fill in for her today to rally support for the nominee in a state that's now viewed as competitive. President Obama will speak at a fundraiser in Philadelphia before heading to New York. And Donald Trump is telling his rival Hillary Clinton, you can't run for president if you have such contempt in your heart for the American voter. He's been blasting Clinton for her saying that half of his supporters belong in a basket of deplorables. Clinton has said she regrets using the term half to describe the percentage of Trump supporters she considered deplorables. And the pushback has again intensified against North Carolina over its state law that some say discriminates against LGBT people. The basketball-crazed state has lost its next chance to host the NCAA men's basketball tournament. In all, the NCAA announced it's pulling 7 championship events from North Carolina for this year in various sports across all 3 college divisions. In your news this morning, the U.S. sending a message to North Korea by flying 2 nuclear-capable supersonic bombers streaking over ally South Korea. It's in response to the North's recent nuclear test. The saber-rattling comes as Washington's special representative to South Korea calls on the United Nations for a swift and clear response.
With its latest nuclear test, the second this year and 5th overall, and its over 20 missile launches just this year, North Korea once again has demonstrated blatant and reckless disregard for its commitments and international obligations. This is quite unprecedented, even by North Korea standards.
Audio courtesy of Reuters. The bombers were escorted by U.S. and South Korean jets about 75 miles from the border with North Korea. And the State Department says the new ceasefire in Syria includes no provisions for the U.S. and Russia to approve Syrian government airstrikes. State Department spokesperson John Kirby's clarification came shortly after Secretary of State John Kerry said Syria could continue bombing operations against al-Qaeda-linked militants as part of the truce if Washington and Moscow agree.
We believe that this is the only realistic and possible solution to this conflict is ultimately a political outcome. I urge all the parties to support it because it may be the last chance that one has to save a united Syria. There will be challenges in the days to come. We expect that. I expect that. I think everybody does. But despite that, this plan has a chance to work. Sure, this is less than perfect. This is perhaps one of the most complicated places in the world. But let me ask you, flawed compared to what? Compared to nothing? Compared to daily violence? that absolutely guarantees a future of even more violence and possible sectarian explosion in the region.
Now, the rapid reversal by the State Department reflected the latest confusion over that agreement. It came after a marathon negotiation Friday between Kerry and his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. No written copy of the agreement was made public. Well, California has a shortage of prison inmates to help fight wildfires. So the state's looking to civilians from the California Conservation Corps. The program has roots in the Great Depression and a motto that promises hard work, low pay, and miserable conditions, and more. Prisoners last year made up about 20% of California fire crews on several major blazes, but the number of available inmates is declining under a law aimed at easing prison overcrowding. If you're traveling and cannot find America's Morning News in your area, we stream live at TalkStreamLive.com. We are also on the TalkStream Live mobile app and the TuneIn app. More breaking news on the way on this Tuesday morning. It's September 13th, the 257th day of the year. This day in history, in 1971, a 4-day inmates rebellion at Attica in western New York ended as police and guards stormed the prison. The ordeal and final assault claimed the lives of 32 inmates and 11 hostages. This hour of America's Morning News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:12. Good morning. It's 69 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Getting up to 91 degrees for our high today and 68 for the low. Partly cloudy, about 28% chance of rain today. Pretty low. Last night we may have noticed you had a little bit of thunder and lightning going on here in the Tennessee Valley. Not a whole lot of rain, but still a bit of a rumbly night last night. Sort of came out of nowhere. We're expecting a bit more of that tonight and tomorrow night too. Now looking at what's happening this weekend, there's a lot of rain actually this weekend. About 0.3 inches of rain here in the Tennessee Valley this weekend, and we're expecting a bit more coming up here this next week. So starting Friday, about 7 days of rain straight here in the Tennessee Valley. Lots of rain. That's the weather update from us here at the Weather Center. Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240. We're always here at hotnewstalkradio.com as well. Smoke detectors saved lives in an early morning fire in East Ridge. The family heard the smoke detectors going off at about 5:30 in the morning, a harsh wake-up call to be sure. They smelled smoke and they ran out of the building. That was on Varner Road in Hamilton County. The Dallas Bay Fire Department responded to that fire and put it out. And it was again at about 5:30 in the morning. And all the residents of that house got out safely. The residents woke up at about 5:30. Officials say that at the time, the cause seems to be from smoking materials on the deck. They've not named exactly what smoking materials means, if it's smoking as in tobacco or if smoldering materials were on the deck. They've not been very clear about that. A civil lawsuit has been filed against the Hamilton County Board of Education in the Ottawa rape case, and what it's been called now, the Ottawa rape case, and we'll continue bringing you updates about that. We're going to go to Mike Wood now from the Hot News Talk Radio Traffic Center. Good morning, Mike. Take it away.
Good morning, Russell. Thank you. 75 northbound in East Ridge, right there at the Catoosa Line. East Ridge Police on the scene. It's an accident, no injuries. One on East 4th right now at Georgia Avenue. Got one on South Watkins at East 13th from a little bit earlier as well. Mike Wood from the Traffic Center. Good morning. Hot News Talk Radio right here, of course, AM 1240.
More updates coming out from the Hamilton County Board of Education, which is now being sued by the family of the victim of the Ottawa rape case. The 23-page federal lawsuit claims that district administrators and school employees knew that there was a culture of abuse going on at the schools in Hamilton County. The oldest of the three perpetrators, who turned 18 soon after the incident happened, has been charged with aggravated rape and aggravated assault. The other two are just charged with aggravated assault, although they're not charged with aggravated rape. And charges have been pressed against the coach as well, Andre Montgomery, and he's been petitioning for those charges to be dropped, although they have not yet been. And an affidavit says that a fertility doctor impregnated several patients with his own DNA, we'll call it, and several victims now are coming forward saying that they are the child of this fertility doctor. Dr. Donald Klein, who's 77, pleaded not guilty on Monday to 2 felony obstruction of justice charges for misleading authorities who were investigating complaints from 2 of the now adult children against him. The youngest of these children is 30. The 77-year-old from Indianapolis, suburb of Zionsville, told 6 adults who believed that they were his children that he had donated his own DNA about 50 times starting in the 1970s instead of the preferred donor's DNA. So now he's the father of several children. A teenager has been charged with a College Hill shooting rampage that killed one and paralyzed a toddler and injured one other person. And now he's wanting a lawyer of his choice because he's suing and pressing charges against the lawyer that he was appointed by the state. He relieved his attorney, Brandy Spurgeon, from his case, saying that she was not fit for duty. Attorney Spurgeon said the family had not completed paying her either to represent Mr. Sims. A judge found that Sims was indigent and the state will pay for his representation. If it's going on in Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Make sure you get us on the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone to feed your radio addiction. That's TuneIn Radio on your smartphone. If it's going on in Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect partly cloudy and hot weather for your Tuesday. A spotty afternoon shower or thunder shower possible. A little more humid. Highs 90 to 92 tonight. Lows into the upper 60s to near 70. For the midweek, not much change. Still mainly dry and hot each day with highs 90 to 92. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Source 12's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest.
Hot News Talk 1240.
All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel Off-Road Technology Saudi Daisy for your four-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Tuesday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 13th day of September. I'm Matt Ray. We start in the Middle East. That's where Syrian opposition activists and monitoring groups say the ceasefire there appears to be holding since going into effect at sundown yesterday, but there have been sporadic and minor violations. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says calm is prevailing in most of the country today. Meanwhile, Israel is denying that Syrian government claims that its forces shot down a warplane and a drone near the Israeli-controlled part of the Golan Heights. It comes as the opposition and monitoring groups said that the U.S.-Russia brokered deal appears to be holding. Israeli warplanes have conducted several air raids on Syrian army positions over the past weeks. This after stray shells hit an Israeli-occupied area. Here at home, President Barack Obama and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell are declaring themselves hopeful that an agreement can be made to keep the government running and provide money to take care of the Zika crisis. The president met Monday with the top four congressional leaders of both parties in the Oval Office.
I was encouraged by some of the constructive work that's being done right now. Number one, to make sure that the government stays open. Number two, to make sure that we're able to adequately fund our efforts to not only deal with the Zika outbreaks, but also to come up with diagnostic tools and vaccines that will solve the problem for good. My hope is that we can make some modest progress in areas where we agree and we've been working together after the election. I'm even more hopeful that we can get some things done. But I want to thank everybody for coming here, and my hope is that by the time Congress adjourns before the election, that we will have an agreement in place to fund the government, and that our Zika funding will be taken care of.
Long-sought provisions to provide money to deal with the worsening Zika crisis look like they'll be added to a must-pass spending bill to fund the government through December 9th. A Democratic presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, says she's feeling better since falling ill at a 9/11 memorial ceremony Sunday in New York. She's also deflecting criticism. Clinton told CNN's Anderson Cooper Monday that she didn't think it was important to disclose her having pneumonia.
David Axelrod was very critical of the way that you and your campaign handled sharing your diagnosis with the public. He tweeted, "Antibiotics can take care of pneumonia. What's the cure for an unhealthy penchant for privacy that repeatedly creates unnecessary problems?" Why not just say on Friday, as you said apparently to Senator Schumer on Sunday, I have pneumonia, folks. I'm going to power through it. Why keep it a secret?
Well, I just didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. I know Chuck said today he didn't tell anybody. It's just the kind of thing that if it happens to you and you're a busy, active person, you keep moving forward. And, I think it's fair to say, Anderson, that people know more about me than almost anyone in public life. They've got 40 years of my tax returns, tens of thousands of emails, a detailed medical letter report, all kinds of personal details. And, it's just it's so strange that with all of that information out there, and as soon as it became clear I couldn't power through, we said what was going on.
Video shows Clinton being held up by aides as she's about to get into a vehicle, but Clinton says she never lost consciousness. And Republican vice presidential candidate Mike Pence says he's not sure what type of medical records his running mate will release. Donald Trump told Fox and Friends this week he'll release, quote, very, very specific numbers, but he didn't elaborate.
Do you believe Hillary Clinton is healthy enough to be president of the United States?
Well, as you said, I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't care to speculate. I think the American people have a right to know the answer to that question. And they'll know it from Donald Trump. Donald Trump's made it very clear he's going to make his health records available, and we hope the Democratic nominee joins him in that. But I really do believe, campaigning as I am over this last weekend, back home again in Indiana over the weekend, the American people are really focused on the issues, and the fact that Hillary Clinton went before a group of wealthy donors in New York and literally called millions of Americans who support Donald Trump part of a basket of deplorables.
We're going to get into that basket in a moment. Shocking. But I just want to be is Donald Trump going to simply release the results of his physical last week or his medical records over the years?
I think he's going to be providing the latest information on his health, which I think is the relevant information. But I'd refer you to the Trump campaign specifically and to the organization in New York about what they choose to do and when they choose to do it. I know in talking with him, he's anxious to be transparent about his health, and the American people are going to see this is a man who is vigorous and healthy and energetic, and will be a great president of the United States.
Pence making the comments to CNN. Both candidates say they'll release more detailed records after Clinton's health episode. Authorities in Florida say a fire at the mosque that was attended by the gunman in the Orlando nightclub shooting is being investigated as a possible arson. They say they won't call it a hate crime yet, but they say the circumstances surrounding it suggest it could be. That fire was set on September 11th and on one of the two biggest holidays of the Muslim calendar. Wilfredo Ruiz is with the Council on American Islamic Relations.
On September 11th, at around 11:45, an individual came to this Islamic center and set up a fire. He used some accelerant. He was filmed. He terrorized our community. This is not the first hate incident or hate crime that the Fort Pierce Islamic Center suffers. what started with threatening calls or hate calls developed to somebody being battered in this area where I'm standing here a couple of months ago while he was coming for prayer, and now somebody committing arson on this worshiping center.
Investigators say surveillance shows a white or Hispanic male walking toward the building carrying a bottle containing liquid and paper. He soon ran from the mosque just before a big flash came from the building. He left on a motorcycle with a low seat and high handlebars. Asian stocks up mostly higher today after a Fed Reserve board member said she was in no hurry to raise interest rates, reassuring investors who were worried that the rate hike could pull share prices lower. Lael Bernard, an influential Fed policymaker, suggested in a speech that the risk that higher rates might derail growth was greater than the risk that lower rates might ignite inflation. On Wall Street yesterday, the Dow jumped 239, the S&P 500 rose 31, and the NASDAQ surged 85. More breaking news on the way on this Tuesday morning. It is September 13th, just 109 days left in the year. This day in entertainment history, in 1993, Late Night with Conan O'Brien made its premiere on NBC. David Letterman had moved his show to CBS.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:27. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Russell, good morning. Thank you. Still working the accident 75 North right at the Georgia-Tennessee line. East Ridge Police there along with TDOT. Looks like the center lanes are blocked again. That is on the northbound side of 75. A significant backup there now, Russell. East 4th at Georgia Avenue. An accident there, South Watkins at East 13th this morning as well. Mike Wood from the Traffic Center at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
Still staying steady at 69 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. 92 for our high today and 70 for the low. Really nice morning this morning. Temperatures are great. Couldn't ask for anything better here in the Tennessee Valley. 92 for our high again today, and that's going to stay the trend until about Friday, where our high dips down to 88 and 70 for the low. And we are on a net decline, as they call it, down from Friday to Thursday. The highs are going to be decreasing in temperature all the way down to 85 for our high on Thursday. It's going to be feeling great, but it's going to be a little bit wet, so make sure you bring an umbrella basically every day next week and this weekend, because there's going to be quite a bit of rain here in the Tennessee Valley. I'm going to be wearing my sunblock today, though, because we're under an ultraviolet warning from the National Weather Center and also an allergy warning, so I'm going to be taking lots of antihistamines, because last thing you need when you work in radio is a stuffed up nose. Looking at the news, an early morning fire in Walker County has claimed the lives now of 2 children, a 6-year-old and a baby. They were lost in the flames, according to the Walker County Fire Department. 5 people have been taken to Erlanger, and a firefighter was also injured in that blaze. And officials with the Walker County Fire Department confirmed they were on the scene at Caribou Lane, just outside of Chickamauga. You may have heard Mike Wood talking about that just in the last hour. Apparently, that house fire on Caribou Lane has now killed 2 children, a 6-year-old and a baby. We'll bring you more updates as they become available here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. TVA's Belafonte plant in Alabama is up for sale now after spending more than 40 years and $5 billion on an unfinished nuclear power plant in northeastern Alabama. The nation's largest federal utility, TVA, is now preparing to sell it at a fraction of what it costs to build. They set the minimum bid at $36.4 million for the Belafonte nuclear plant and the 1,600 surrounding acres of waterfront property on the Tennessee River. The buyer gets 2 unfinished nuclear reactors, transmission lines, office and warehouse buildings, 8 miles of roads, and a 1,000 space parking lot, and quite a bit more. So Belafonte up for sale in Alabama. You could be the lucky winner. Speaking of lucky winners, a $100,000 Powerball ticket was bought in Chattanooga. The jackpot is set at $222 million. Trips, $222 million. Thousands of Tennesseans have won prizes so far for the game's other 8 levels. Saturday night's drawing created 16,619 winning Powerball tickets in the state, including a $100,000 prize, which was won by one lucky winner in Chattanooga. Was it you? Hey, call in and tell us. by the way, the chances of winning are not particularly high, so don't get your hopes up in terms of making your fortune with the lottery. The chances are about like trying to commit suicide by flying a commercial airliner. It's not really there. A missing Roswell, Georgia woman might be in Chattanooga, and the family is wanting your help in finding her. She went missing not too long ago. 36-year-old Natalie Botero, who's 36, from Roswell, is missing, and authorities say that she might now be in Chattanooga. She suffers from a health disorder and is in need of medical attention to maintain her well-being. She has not been seen or heard from since August 26th, and on August 25th, she told her roommate that she would be leaving Roswell to go out of town with friends. She hasn't been seen since. She's listed on the NCIC list as missing, and she's 5'9", 190 pounds, drives a 2015 white Honda CR-V. If anyone has any info, they should call 911. If it's going on in Tennessee Valley, it's going on News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Hi, this is Bina. Come and visit me at Bell Smoke Shop. We are just across the street from Hardy's in Saudi Daisy. We have all kinds of beer just for you. Come to Bell Smoke Shop. We are just across the street from Hardy's in Saudi Daisy.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash. Need Labor Day cash? Rick Davis will give you top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. You'll get international prices. It's like he's giving away money. Labor Day cash and top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. There he goes. More cash out the door from Rick. Need Labor Day cash? Rick Davis will give you top dollar. Top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash and diamonds. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. 5301 Brainerd Road. You know where it is.
Hi, this is Eric Felton, tax services, accounting, cash flow. We're small business specialists. I've been helping families and businesses for 35 years. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339. We make life less taxing.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
News Talk 1240.
Good Tuesday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 13th day of September, 34 minutes past the hour. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning.
I'm feeling so much better, and obviously I should have gotten some rest sooner.
I think he's going to be providing the latest information on his health.
Clinton and Trump say they'll release more detailed medical records.
North Korea once again has demonstrated blatant and reckless disregard for its commitments and international obligations.
The U.S. sends a clear message to North Korea.
I was encouraged by some of the constructive work that's being done right now. Number one, to make sure that the government stays open.
But did they agree on a Zika funding bill? We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start in the Middle East this morning. That's where police in Pakistan say they foiled a suicide bombing at a Shiite mosque in the southern part of the country. That's where an attacker blew himself up as guards stopped to search him. 3 police officers wounded. Cops say it happened during Tuesday prayers. Police say a second attacker was shot and wounded at the scene before he could detonate his explosives. The State Department says the new ceasefire in Syria, which activists say appears to be holding, includes no provisions for the U.S. and Russia to approve Syrian government airstrikes. Spokesman John Kirby's clarification came shortly after Secretary of State John Kerry said Syria could continue bombing operations against al-Qaeda militants as part of the truce if Washington and Moscow agree.
We provided a provision that as long as there is a sustained period of reduced violence, and increased humanitarian access, and by that we mean 7 consecutive days, the United States and Russia will set up a joint implementation center to facilitate coordinated military action in response to the threat posed by al-Nusra and Daesh. What this would mean is it would take Syrian warplanes and their barrel bombs out of those skies and prevent the regime from doing what has done so often in the past, which is to bomb a civilian apartment or hospital and claim that in doing so they were really targeting al-Nusra. This is designed to bring people to the table in Geneva in order to get under the auspices of the UN and begin to negotiate a political transition and the restoration of a peaceful and united Syria. If there is no compliance with the cessation of hostilities and no fulfillment of the principle of humanitarian access, then this arrangement, including the Joint Implementation Center, will not go forward.
Now, the State Department's rapid reversal reflected the latest confusion from that ceasefire, which was agreed to after a marathon negotiation late last week between Kerry and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. No written copy of the agreement's been made public. A possible showdown with Congress looms as the White House says President Obama is intent on vetoing legislation that would allow families of September 11th victims to sue Saudi Arabia. White House spokesman Josh Earnest says the legislation could actually harm the U.S.
A forceful way for us to respond to terrorism is to thoroughly investigate what role individual countries may have in supporting terrorism. And if we find compelling evidence that they are, to label them accordingly and to act accordingly. And that is what the president believes is the most forceful way for us to confront the state sponsors of terrorism. The other concern that we have also articulated is that this law actually opens up the United States to risk of being hauled into court in countries around the world. The concept of sovereign immunity is one that protects the United States as much as any other country in the world, given the way the United States is engaged in the world. So it's not hard to imagine other countries using this law as an excuse to haul U.S. diplomats or U.S. service members or even U.S. companies into courts all around the world.
Now, the legislation gives victims' families the right to sue the U.S. in court for any role that elements of the Saudi government may have played in the 2001 attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton didn't attend a fundraiser in San Francisco yesterday. Of course, she's recovering from pneumonia, but attendees did tell the Associated Press that her health isn't a concern.
Her message was one about victory, about the excitement she has. She certainly felt terrible that she couldn't be with us today, which was certainly a bummer, but I think everybody in the audience was happy that she's home and resting and hopefully getting better very quickly. She talked about all the excitement that she has and how she plans to defeat Donald Trump.
The message was that she's doing what's best for her, which is what's best for the campaign, which is to rest up, which is what any normal person or professional would do when they're under the weather, resting up so that she can get back after it for the next 57 days as the campaign is in the final stretch.
I'm concerned about the politics of it, not the facts underlying it, but I could see it being twisted, and I do feel like the media is making a big deal out of it, when I think there's probably more important issues that it ought to be on the front page.
I think it's going to be used politically, and unfortunately I think it'll be used by Trump to say, oh, she's weak, she's not strong enough to be president, which I think is a bunch of garbage. And I think I think she's healthy, I think she's strong, and I think it's just the crazy pace of campaigning.
Clinton told CNN's Anderson Cooper last night she's feeling much better. She said she didn't think her pneumonia diagnosis was significant enough to disclose it beforehand. She told supporters via text message and Facebook she's feeling fine and getting better. Meanwhile, Donald Trump told supporters in North Carolina Monday that he would be a champion in the White House for all Americans, not just supporters. He also slammed Clinton for comments she made about half of Trump's supporters.
Every American is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect in our country. Every American. Whether you vote for me or whether you vote for someone else, I will be your champion in the White House. That I can promise. Hillary Clinton represents only the insiders, the donors, and the special interests. After months of hiding from the press, Hillary Clinton came out and finally told the world how she feels about the people of this country. She said tens of millions of patriotic Americans are a basket of deplorables. How can you be president? How can you be president for so many people? She talks about people like they're objects, not human beings. She said half of our supporters are irredeemable and not American, and describes the other half as having run out of options. What she can't understand or accept is that the great majority of this country now sees right through these lies and deceptions of a failed political establishment and, frankly, soon to be a failed politician.
At the same rally where he was condemning the basket of deplorables, remarked an altercation broke out as protesters were escorted out of the arena. Trump, a supporter, grabbed a male protester by the neck and punched him. Then he slapped a woman. The attacker was not ejected by security. And what will be joining Twister, the Easy Bake Oven, and the Frisbee? Well, the National Toy Hall of Fame is set to reveal the finalists for the class of 2016. A dozen classic toys are expected to be announced today, selected from several thousand nominees. The winners will be chosen with input from a national selection committee and inducted November 10th in the Hall of Fame at the Strong Museum in Rochester, New York. More breaking news on the way on this Tuesday morning. It is the 13th day of September. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:44. Good morning. It's 71 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Getting up to 92. Warming up out there for our high today. 70 for the low. And mostly just partly cloudy, actually, here in the Tennessee Valley. Wednesday, 93 for the high and 70 for the low. And it's supposed to be pretty clear on Wednesday, too. Thursday, continuing that trend. But Friday, watch out. Things start to get a little bit different. On Friday, a chance of rain continues all the way for about 7 days. Lots of rain, like I say. Saturday, thunderstorms possible with 85 for the high, 69 for the low. So the temperatures are looking great, but the weather conditions, not so much. That's a lot of rain, so bring an umbrella. I'm going to be bringing sunscreen today, though, because we're under an ultraviolet warning here in the Tennessee Valley. An ultraviolet warning, so make sure you wear your sunglasses and don't sunburn your eyes. We're going to go to Mike Wood now from the Hot News Talk Radio Traffic Center. Good morning, Mike. Take it away.
Russell, good morning. Thank you. Still working 75 northbound at the Georgia-Tennessee line. East Ridge Police and TDOT are there. An accident in the center lane's got a significant backup on that one on 75 northbound right now, Russell. Chattanooga on the way to Brainerd Road at Germantown with an accident. Still working East 4th at George Avenue. Still working South Watkins at East 13th this morning as well. Mike Wood from the Traffic Center here at Hot News Talk Radio. It's AM 1240.
An early morning fire on Caribou Lane has claimed the lives of several people now. 2 children, in fact. An infant and a toddler were killed in this early morning fire on Caribou Lane. The adults in the family did manage to escape. Apparently, firefighters have put out the fire, and we're still waiting on further statements from the fire department on what exactly happened there on Caribou Lane. 2 children died in Walker County. 5 people taken to Erlanger, and a firefighter was also hurt in that blaze trying to save their lives. Officials say that it happened just outside Walker County. 1 person was able to get out of the fire. Fire Chief Randy Chape says the scene is still and may have calmed down a bit since that statement was made. The TVA's Bellefonte nuclear plant over in Alabama is going to be sold to one lucky bidder. And the starting bid, it's only $36.4 million for the Bellefonte nuclear plant in Alabama and the 1,600 surrounding acres of waterfront property on the Tennessee River. The buyer's going to get quite a lot of property, some unfinished nuclear reactors, no big deal, transmission lines, office and warehouse buildings, 8 miles of roads, and a 1,000 space parking lot and quite a bit more. Starting bid again, $36.4 million. Not bad at all. A missing woman from Roswell might be in Chattanooga. She went missing a few months ago in August the 26th. And on August the 25th, the day before, she apparently told her roommate she would be leaving Roswell in Georgia to go out of town with her friends. The next day, she disappeared. No one has heard from her since. She drives a 2015 white Nissan CRV. If anyone has any information on Ms. Botero, they should call 911. She's a shorter lady. She's about 5'9", weighing about 190 pounds. Again, driving a 2015 white Honda CRV. We'll be putting her information up on the Hot News Talk Radio Facebook page so you can see it for yourself. Smoke detectors saved some lives in an early morning fire. Again, this one's not the one on Caribou Lane, but there were several house fires last night, kind of inexplicably. There was an apartment fire as well on Varner Road in this case. Dallas Bay Fire Department says that smoke detectors woke up the family at about 5:30 a.m. They all managed to run outside, and they were rescued by those smoke alarms, so make sure you have them installed and up to date in your house. The fire spread up the back of the house and to the attic. The house is considered to be a total loss, although the fire was put out by the Dallas Bay Fire Department. And the civil lawsuit has been filed against the Hamilton County Board of Education, so the Ooltewah rape case has not really come to a true conclusion, especially not in the minds of the victim. They're now claiming that there was a culture of abuse in the Ooltewah High School sports system, particularly the athletic system. Other 2 boys who held the victim down during the attack have been convicted of aggravated assault. The main perpetrator has been convicted and charged with aggravated rape and aggravated assault in that case. And the victim now wants damages from the Hamilton County Board of Education, the Hamilton County school system. And it looks like he's on track to receive those damages if the lawsuit goes well. They've filed a 23-page federal lawsuit. It's going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
With every election, the government always gets in. You're right to be angry. We have no free market, red tape everywhere, taxes crushing. There's no level playing field. Tomorrow may be a day of reckoning. But there is something you can do. It's personal safety, personal security, shooter supply and indoor range. Find the handgun or long gun suitable to you. Take a concealed carry permit class. Use Shooter's roomy indoor private shooting range. Get expert personal advice. Shooter Supply fights boldly against big boxes. It helps people understand firearms. A free republic has become a despotism. Let them choke on their swag. For us, we invest in personal safety. In the Second Amendment, fight back, shop local. The country is in a desperate situation, but you don't have to be. Shooter Supply, love your neighbor, buy local. 875-4868, 875-4868, shooters-range.com. Shop shooters-range.com. Think about the future. What about your kids?
We expect partly cloudy and hot weather for your Tuesday. A spotty afternoon shower or thunder shower possible. A little more humid. Highs 90 to 92. Tonight, lows into the upper 60s to near 70. For the midweek, not much change. Still mainly dry and hot each day with highs 90 to 92. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Sourcine 12's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Good Tuesday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 13th day of September. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following. The U.S. sending a clear message to North Korea by flying 2 nuclear-capable supersonic bombers streaking over ally South Korea. It's in response to the North's recent nuclear test. The saber-rattling comes as Washington's special representative to South Korea pushes the United Nations for a swift and clear response.
With its latest nuclear test, the second this year and 5th overall, and its over 20 missile launches just this year, North Korea once again has demonstrated blatant and reckless disregard for its commitments and international obligations. This is quite unprecedented, even by North Korea standards.
The U.S. bombers were escorted by U.S. and South Korean jets about 75 miles from the border with North Korea. Conservatives are pushing to force an election season House vote on impeaching IRS Chief John Koskinen, despite lack of support from many Republicans and Democrats. Louisiana Republican Representative John Fleming says he plans to formally offer the resolution today. With a rarely used procedure, it would require a vote by Thursday. The effort flows from the IRS's 2013 admission that for several years it targeted for rigorous examination Tea Party groups seeking tax exemptions. Donald Trump says Hillary Clinton's remark that half his supporters belonged in a basket of deplorables was, quote, an explicit attack on the American voter. He told a rally in North Carolina that while Clinton calls his supporters deplorable and redeemable, quote, I call you hardworking American patriots who love their country and want a better future for all our people. As he spoke, a Trump supporter in the audience pushed and slapped protesters. And Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said she didn't think that her falling ill with pneumonia was going to be a big deal. She told CNN's Anderson Cooper, despite her doctor's orders to rest for 5 days, she thought she could just keep going and power through it. Clinton's illness forced her to abruptly leave a 9/11 memorial ceremony in New York Sunday. And speaking of health, here's Dr. Tony O'Donnell with today's Long Life Health Report, brought to you by longlife911.com.
From the America's Morning News Health Desk, I'm Dr. Tony O'Donnell. How bad is your osteoarthritis? Do you have rheumatoid arthritis? Kurt Hendricks is our special guest. Kurt is a chemist. He's a certified nutritionist. He's an expert in nutrition. Let me ask you this, Kurt. What is the primary cause of osteoarthritis and indeed rheumatoid arthritis? What can be done to at least alleviate some of the symptoms and help patients reduce some of their pain and have a better quality of life?
For those people who have these conditions and have them chronically, a lot of them are just living on aspirin, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, naproxen, and the various symptoms of bleeding and ulcers and cardiovascular and kidney, the list goes on as to why not to take them when there are such natural anti-inflammatories and analgesics, pain relievers out there. But in addition to them doing all these other things that are certainly not healthy and dangerous, they also are known to interfere with bone healing, and that's 100% known by any of the physicians who have studied it and read the papers. So in addition to that, it's up in the air as to whether or not they actually interfere with the healing of the tissues for which they're relieving the pain. So this is not a good situation. I strongly suggest to those of you who are living on these things because you have this kind of chronic pain due to these type of arthritis or perhaps another type, is that you consider switching to 4 natural anti-inflammatory and pain relievers that are just proven effective for joint pain, but with none of the risks I just described. In fact, I take these ingredients every day because after decades and decades, and you know me, Tony, I'm a big guy, of just competitive sports, I did my knees in, and I was told that I might need knee replacement, and taking these, not only have I never needed knee replacement now, and that was 30 years ago that I was told that, I actually don't even have the daily pain, and I just take them as needed. Other people, perhaps who haven't been fortunate enough to know about these things that I was taking and have daily pain, might take them on a daily basis. The 4 ingredients are a form of ginger extract, a form of boswellia extract, which is a herb from Ayurvedic medicine, 2 sources of the herb feverfew, which is another anti-inflammatory herb, and 2 sources of magnesium. For the people who are listening, who are thinking, geez, I would love to get off the aspirin, the acetaminophen, whatever, they can go to a page I created, which is called now, NOW, the number 4, joints, that's with an S, .com. It's now4joints.com, and they can actually read the clinical human trials that were done by hospitals all around the world that tell them how effective these things are. If they switch to them, it's just a win-win situation.
Wow, ginger, boswellia, feverview, never heard of that one before. I've heard of it, but didn't know it was effective for reducing pain and inflammation. And magnesium. What particular doses, Kurt?
Well, the ginger extract is anywhere from 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. The boswellia, this specific one that I refer them to, is only 100 milligrams a day. Less potent ones can take 500 to 1,000. That's why I recommend this particular one. The feverfew are actually 2 sources. One is the whole plant, and the other one is an extract of the plant, so you get all of the chemicals that naturally occur in the plant that are anti-inflammatory. And then the magnesium actually helps certain pain receptors to deaden. It makes it less efficient for pain to be transmitted. So it's also very important in there.
You're fantastic. Now for the number 4joints.com. Remember to consult your doctor before implementing any changes recommended here on the Long Life Health Report, brought to you by longlife911.com. I'm Dr. Tony.
Thanks, Dr. Tony. That was the Long Life Health Report, brought to you by longlife911.com. For more healthy and life-saving tips, go to longlife911.com and disease prevention and longevity bulletin. And finally, this morning, there's no use yelping over Yelp's bad reviews. That's because a federal appeals court has tossed out a libel suit against Yelp over negative ratings that had been filed by a Washington state locksmith company owner. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals says the star ratings on Yelp are created by the site's online users. So Yelp's not responsible for the negative reviews. Douglas Kimsey, the locksmith business owner, says he'll appeal the decision. Isn't Yelp just kind of a big forum for tattletaling on people? I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you don't like the food, don't go again. If you're traveling and cannot find us in your area, we stream live at TalkStreamLive.com. We are also on the TalkStream Live mobile app and the TuneIn app. You can always reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook, both at Matt Ray Talk. Use the hashtag AMN. More breaking news on the way on this Tuesday morning. It is the 13th day of September. This day in history, in 1996, rapper Tupac Shakur died at a Las Vegas hospital 6 days after being shot in a drive-by shooting. He was just 25 years old. The murder remains unsolved. You've got American
Listen up,
Morning News
y'all.
for the
Ben
nation's
Phillips,
news.
Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now, 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero is renting, which costs too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this. He purchased a $180,000 home with zero down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and one phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a home.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga. CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. Donald Trump, who's been reluctant to talk about Hillary Clinton's issues, will have more to say about his health later this week. CBS News correspondent Major Garrett.
On Thursday, on the Dr. Oz television show, Trump will appear and tell the country more about his own health records. Reports from his most recent physical performed last week
Her doctor wants Clinton to get 5 full days of rest before returning to the campaign trail. CBS's Nancy Cordes tells us Clinton is likely to be back sooner rather than later.
Secretary Clinton is going to be resting at home here in Chappaqua for a second straight day, and then we anticipate that she will resume her campaign schedule tomorrow. Perhaps not as originally planned with a trip to Nevada. Perhaps she'll go closer to home, but she clearly is not intending to follow her doctor's advice to the letter.
Clinton says she didn't tell people she had pneumonia because she didn't think it was a big deal. Donald Trump is offering a new plan that would allow families with young children or elderly parents to set up dependent care savings accounts. He's also calling for 6 weeks of guaranteed maternity leave for new mothers. Overseas, a pair of U.S. bombers took to the skies over South Korea today, sending North Korea a message to mind its manners. The head of the U.S.-South Korea Combined Forces Command called North Korea's recent nuclear test an unacceptable threat. In Syria, so far, so good.
In the early hours of the ceasefire, there were some minor violations reported, but by dawn, calm seemed to be reigning across the country.
CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer in Damascus. The UN and other relief agencies are eager to use the pause to deliver desperately needed humanitarian aid, but they're waiting to be sure the fighting has stopped. Well, silver hair can be hard to find on the silver screen. Live to CBS's Vicki Barker.
In the 1985 sci-fi comedy Cocoon, a bunch of senior citizens end up abandoning planet Earth, and you'd be forgiven for thinking space aliens had been hovering above Hollywood, hoovering up elderly actors. Although over 60s make up nearly 19% of the U.S. population, they account for just 11% of speaking parts in Hollywood films. And the University of Southern California study found that in 2015, elderly actors had only 10 leading roles. Frank?
In Memphis, where a house fire killed 6 children and 3 adults in the same family, a 9-year-old survivor is fighting for his life. Veronica Thayer is his grandmother.
I'm a fighter. I'm hoping and praying that he survives. He has that strength. He has that will.
Bad power cord on an air conditioning unit started the fire. A new California law was decades in the making. It will enable farmhands to collect overtime pay. Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez had a reason for sponsoring the bill.
My father came to this country as a farm worker, and I can't imagine that there's anything I've done legislatively that hits me quite at my core as this bill did.
S&P futures are down 17 points. This is CBS News.
Investments in securities involves the risk of loss. The following is a far too common tale of investing in annuities. A successful couple invested a large portion of their savings in annuities, thinking they were a safe way to guarantee a dependable income stream no matter what the market did. But it didn't take long for them to regret their decision. They were locked into low returns, faced potential tax consequences, and that they couldn't get out of their annuities without paying huge penalties. They were stuck, and so was their money. Suddenly, their retirement hopes and dreams were in danger. But it didn't have to happen to them, and it doesn't have to happen to you. You can avoid the annuity trap. Here's one way. Get the free report, Annuity Insights, your guide to better understanding annuities, by calling 1-800-406-7775. Written by Forbes columnist and money manager Ken Fisher's firm. This powerful report could help save you from major financial heartache, and it's offered today for free. If you have an annuity or are considering one, claim your free annuities guide today. Hurry, free copies are limited. Call now, 1-800-406-7775. 1-800-406-7775.
A top banking executive was able to retire in style.
Last week, Wells Fargo Bank agreed to pay $185 million in penalties for defrauding customers. In a practice known as sandbagging, employees created unauthorized accounts to meet aggressive sales goals. When the sandbagging was revealed, 5,300 people lost their jobs. But Fortune reports there were no consequences for the executive in charge of the unit that created the phony accounts. Carrie Tolstead retired in July with a payout of more than $124 million. In announcing her departure, Wells Fargo CEO John Stumpf called Tolstead a standard bearer of our culture and a champion for our customers. Bill Whitney, CBS News.
2 men are facing charges for rushing the stage during last night's broadcast of Dancing with the Stars. They were protesting the appearance of disgraced Olympian Ryan Lochte. Security guards stopped them. Lochte's feelings were hurt, but he wasn't. Frank Sedapani, CBS.
If the South would have won, we'd have had it made.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. 2 children, a 6-year-old and a baby, were claimed by flames in a house fire in Walker County on Caribou Lane. 5 other people were taken to the hospital, and a firefighter was injured trying to put those flames out and save lives. There was another house fire in East Ridge where a neighbor ran in to save a victim who was screaming for help. Smoke was seen by neighbors next door. They all ran to assist. Michael Wilson is the man credited with saving the woman's life. She's now in the hospital. Someone in Tennessee beat the odds and managed to win $100,000 in the Powerball ticket drawing. They managed to get both the 5 numbers in white and the 1 red number, the Powerball. And for an extra $1, they also multiplied the prize by a number of 2. The identity of this fortunate person has not been revealed. A woman who mysteriously vanished from Roswell, Georgia, has been missing since August 26th, may be in Chattanooga, according to the family. She suffers from a health disorder and is in need of medication to maintain her well-being. She told a friend that she would be going out with friends and never showed up again. She drives a 2015 white Honda CR-V. It was going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action.
Hot News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
This is your total information source. The Mike Gallagher Show. The news is happening now, and we keep you connected to the headlines like no one else. And now, here is Mike Gallagher.
Who gets it better than I do? To get to travel around the country and meet thousands of people on this Decision 2016 tour. Today, it's Tampa. We head off to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, then New York, Washington, D.C.,